Itadori Yuji, a special grade sorcerer. What an interesting concept. What's up guys, I'm Pencil here, and here we are to do a breakdown / discussion of whether or not Yuji Itadori, the Prince of Curses, the man chosen by the sparks of black, he who has finally reached the king, his father, his uncle, no matter what you want to call him, whether or not the boy, the main character of the story of Jujutsu Kaisen, has finally, with the unlocking of his domain expansion, his own individual world, whether or not he has finally reached the level of special grade. Has he finally joined the top 4, the big dogs, the heavy hitters? Is he finally up there? It's a complicated little discussion. Or is it? Maybe, maybe not. But that's what this video's for. So let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. Heading me, are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up guys, that guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do happen to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact, Yuji Itadori has finally unlocked his domain expansion. This has been the talk of the town, to the point where this was actually like the most trending chapter, period, I do believe. In recent memory, I think the only one that was like trending competing to it was like some of the Gojo vs. Sukuna chapters, and I think the final one. So this is obviously big news on like a macro level. Like on every narrative level, Yuji Itadori unlocking a domain expansion is crazy. Considering it's the apex of Jujutsu, what it meant for the battle against Sukuna, and the many characters who sat there, sacrificed their lives, sacrificed their flesh, sacrificed something in order to get Yuji to this point. The unlocking of his domain expansion and the isolation of he himself with the king of curses in this strange little subway world, yeah. It's crazy. It's buku bonkers. It's sent the battle to a whole new direction and has possibly finally locked it off to the 1v1 that a lot of the fan base has been waiting for ever since Yuji and Sukuna were introduced as main character and main villain over, what, darn near 5 years ago, if not more at this point. But, of course, we aren't here to talk about all the meta-narrative amazingness of Yuji unlocking a domain expansion, the narrative amazingness, whatever. Who cares about that? What we gotta know is he special grade for this? Because for the longest time, people have sort of been waiting, itching, scratching, fiending for it a little bit, waiting for Yuji Itadori to finally clear that gap, finally transcend. The man's been boxed in special grade curses since the early series. Remember, that finger bearer he fought was a special grade curse, and he fought that thing in like chapter 8? 9? 10? Sure, he got off by it. Not really. Technically, he didn't. It was Sukuna who then offed him, which led to the binding vow, which allowed him to get back in his body. But still, he's been fighting special grades for a while, well before he was anything. Far from a grade 1 sorcerer. So of course, now that he's fighting the ultimate sorcerer, the king of curses, 4 arms, and managed to catch him in a nice little domain, everybody and their mama is like, Yuji's up there now. Yuji top 5. Yuji top 10. Yuji top 3. Yuji top 1. The strongest sorcerer of tomorrow. This, that, and the third. But all that don't matter, because we're going to talk about Yuji's general scaling in the macro sense of the verse in another video. What really matters is what we came here to ask today. Did all of this, from the awakening of the soul dismantle, to the unlocking of symbol domain, to the unlocking of an actual domain expansion, to getting 2 techniques in blood manipulation, and cleave and dismantle, / shrine in general, and everything that Yuji's done, has he finally reached special grade? And by special grade, we literally mean the 4 known special grades in the entire series: Satoru Gojo, Yuki Tsukumo, Sukuru Geto, and Yuta Okotsu. Has he reached them? Has he slid up to that peak, that pinnacle, that point where we can finally call him special grade? Complicated. Very complicated. Because here's the thing, right? I will not sit here looking at you directly in the eyeballs and say that Yuji Itadori does not clear, like, almost, like, except for, like, Yuki, in terms of, like, just raw striking force because of Star Rage. He clears 3 of the 4 special grade sorcerers in terms of stats. Undeniably. Like, you cannot look at what Yuji's done while super duper ooper juper fatigued, but pencil, he's hitting black flash. I don't care how many black flashes he's hitting. He doesn't have an eyeball right now. You cannot look at the numbers this man has put up against the King of Curses, who's been fluctuating all different amounts of power and levels, yet still somehow blitzing and one-shotting everybody. You cannot see this man slam dunk Ryomen Sukuna through a building and force him to dodge cleaves, and let me sit here and say to you that Yuji Itadori does not have better stats than Suguru Geto. You think Geto's doing this? You think Geto is leaping in midair, grabbing Sukuna by the ankles and slobber knocking him through a building after slobber knocking him in midair after climbing up Jacob's ladder on flying rocks? You think Geto's doing that? No! Do you think Yuki's doing that? No! Do you even think Yuta Kotsu's doing that? No, probably not, because we already saw a comparison of a much weaker pre-awakened Yuji against the domain-amped Yuta. Remember, those two were running parallel. They were boxing alongside each other. They were throwing Sukuna around to similar degrees before Yuji's awakening. That domain-amped Yuta is the strongest Yuta we've seen in the manga, except for Goda. But even then, that's debatable because of how booty meat Goda was, in terms of just, like, knowing the body and the technique and stuff like that. I'm not saying Goda's fodder. Goda will get his own video eventually in terms of where he scales power-wise. But still, stats-wise, he's well beyond the tier. The only special grade he has not surpassed stat-wise is Sorcerer Gojo. That's it. I ain't going to. No matter what, I'm personally not in the camp that Yuji is even top 3. But I'm definitely not in the camp that he's top 1, that he managed to surpass top. No. That's the only special grade that still clears him stats-wise and, like, every other way. But still, stats-wise, he's so clear. Like, so clear to the point where I'd say it's ludicrous to argue otherwise. Like, I know there are going to be the Yuki fans in the comments being like, whoa, 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 Pencil Man. What do you mean he clears Yuki in stats? Except for her striking strength, because her striking strength is boosted by her hacks. What do you mean? And hey, come back to me when Yuki has feats on Sukuna. Oh, wait, she could barely get feats on Kenjaku? Ooh, that's unfortunate, ain't it? But I know the Suguru Geto fans out there are going to be like, wait a minute, Pencil Man. I know what you believe. I've been listening to some of your videos. You believe that Suguru Geto and Kenjaku have the same physical stats. And I do, because ultimately I think Suguru Geto was a full-grown adult who knows how to use his body. And we know that while Kenjaku is a much better sorcerer than Suguru Geto on multiple different levels, we know you can't really push the body beyond certain limits. Limits of the body are something that are well established within JJK, and considering Suguru Geto was a special grade sorcerer already on a renown and caliber of his own, the only thing you could argue that Kenjaku has over Geto is better martial arts skills, because Gege made an external interview mentioning that outside of Maki and Toji, who are just the best hand-to-hand combatants in the verse, it's like Gojo, Kenjaku, and Sukuna in terms of just like pure straight hands. That's those three. Suguru Geto is not mentioned there. That's the only thing. Give Suguru Geto. And you may be looking like, what? So, Pencil Man, are you saying that Yuji Itadori clears? He clears Kenjaku in terms of physical? Yes. Yes, he does. Once again, bring, call me back when Big Jaku or Suguru Geto can do half of what Yuji has done physically. And I mean half. Like, legit. This man's been going absolutely buku bonkers. Oh, we'll get to you in a second. But this man's been going absolutely buku bonkers for a minute now. A minute and a half, dare I say. Been boxing the King of Curses like crazy. Been getting thrown in the blender, putting him in the schmicks. Like, this man has been slobber knocking Sukuna for a while now. I don't see Kenjaku doing that. I don't see Suguru Geto doing that. The feats just don't speak for themselves, unfortunately. And even Yuta Kotsu. Once again, I know the Yuta fans out there are going to be, hey. But once again, we saw Domain Amped Yuta and pre-awakened Yuji. They were running relatively even. They were taking about the same amount of damage. They were doing about the same amount. Okay, maybe, weirdly enough, Yuji was kind of lacking damage-wise behind Yuta, which is strange. Because, like, it's just weird. Like, Yuta ripped out Sukuna's tongue with his bare hands. And Yuji, despite doing crazy numbers of Sukuna in terms of, like, slamming him through buildings and stuff, he hasn't really done anything, like, crazy physically in terms of, like, ripping out or tearing off organs. He, like, dug his hand into his heart. But still, other than that, yeah, Yuji, pre-awakening, was already basically an equal to that Yuta. Awaken him? Have him 8 black flashes stronger and deeper in terms of curse. And you're understanding he surpassed Yuta stat-wise. The only thing of Yuta's kit that Yuji hasn't surpassed is fully manifested Rika. And maybe, like, regular Rika. Because regular Rika is also strangely strong. We're going to talk about her in a little bit. But still, that's it. Stat-wise, Yuji's clear. But I want you to realize this. Stat-wise, there are a lot of characters who surpassed the special grades in some way. Suguru Geto, he's a real neat fella. He's not even top 15. That may be a lie. That may be a lie. Is he not top 15? That may be a lie. Just based on what we've seen of him. Because once again, unless we go with the idea that Kenjaku used domain, and based on the fact that the sure hit kind of looks like Uzumaki, and it doesn't make sense for Gravity to have a sure hit, then maybe you could say that's Suguru Geto's domain, and if he's the domain, then he's top 15. But still, a bunch of characters clear Geto. Kashimo clears Geto. Ryu clears Geto. Uro should clear Geto. Angel should clear Geto. Like, so many different characters should just absolutely bend Geto over a table, spread his cheeks open, and shut. But legitimately, so many characters clear Geto, and he's special grade. But I wouldn't say Angel is special grade. I wouldn't say Uro is special grade. I would say Ryu is special grade, but that's another video for another time. And I know y'all are going to be so bad when I say that, especially considering the consensus of this video. And even then, I may have to think on that a little bit more. That may be the Ryu rider in me slipping out a little bit. But with that being the case, I wouldn't say Hashimo's special grade either. Why? Why am I saying this? If stat-wise they clear Suguru Geto, the weakest special grade by a long shot, and Yuji Itadori is definitely in the class in caliber where he's clearing special grade tier fighters in terms of stats, how is this boy and many others not special grade? Well, it comes down to criteria. And what are the criteria for being special grade? And how do all four of the special grade sorcerers meet it in a way that a character like Yuji, or a character like Kashimo, or a character like Uro, or a character like Angel couldn't? Even though they have techniques and or stats or things that allow them to clear special grade fighters. Let's talk about it. First things first, let's just go over the one requirement we know to be a special grade. Kenjaku lays it out quite clearly in 203. Now, of course, this is Big Jaku, and I trust Big Jaku as far as I can throw Big Jaku. And if he's in any sort of decent vessel, I cannot throw him very far. But let's hear what they say. As Choso's getting his guts ate out, well, whatever, we ain't pausing right now. We're going to keep playing. But while Choso's getting his guts ate out by one of Kenjaku's many cursed spirits, Kenjaku asks, do you know what the rank special grade means? Or not means, signifies. The ability to single-handedly overthrow nations. Satoru Gojo into... Now this is, I warn you, I'm using official translations. I'm using official... So look who translated this chapter. You can't hide for... It's Johnny Boy. It's Johnny Boy. But the TCB say a very similar thing. So just... I'm gonna say a lie, in a sense. But this is Johnny Boy. Don't get mad at me, get mad at Johnny Boy. But the context and criteria for overcoming the first grade wall and becoming a special grade is, as Kenjaku says, the ability to single-handedly overthrow nations. Satoru Gojo and Suguru Geto can both use curse spirit manipulation to wield the most grotesque armies. Now, of course, Satoru Gojo cannot wield curse spirit manipulation, but that's the criteria. That is what it takes to be special grade. You, individually, or based on what's in your kit, must have the capability to overthrow a nation. Are you seeing the vision now? Are you seeing the understanding? Are you seeing the issue for why I think characters who have better stats than special grades aren't special grade? Kashimo Hajime, who I'll probably do a whole video about in terms of talking about why he isn't special grade either. And I owe somebody because they use the Ko-Fi, which link in the description down below, to order a $25 video. So I needed to make that video about 45 minutes of Kashimo slander, which I've been itching and scratching to record. I just didn't find the time to do it. But with that being the case, Kashimo Hajime isn't special grade. Why? Because he's not soloing a nation. He'll get tired. He'll run out of energy. A whole nation? You know how big a nation is? That's crazy. Kashimo Hajime ain't doing that. Especially if he activates his curse technique, that man's lasting at most an hour. If that. He's fodder. He's not fodder. He's very, very powerful. But still, he's not a special grade. Someone like Uro. Wow, sky manipulation. Real cool. She'll get tired. She'll fall eventually. To a nation? A whole nation? That's crazy. But you know who was almost qualified for special grade? You know who was promoted to special grade by the higher-ups? Oh yeah. Principal Yaga. Why? Why? Why was... Oh, yeah, because he could make an army. And what is overthrowing a nation really about, if we're being honest? It isn't just randomly teleporting into a nation and then just randomly fighting civilians. It's not that. You need to be able to take down an entire army. Now, obviously, armies vary in scale and size and resources and output. And obviously, most of the special grades, as was clearly pointed out in another video's comment section, yeah, most special grades would most certainly not necessarily like to take a nuke to the face. But with it being the case, in the general sense of taking down a nation, taking down an army, all 4 special grades, to some level, have potency that would allow that in a way that someone like Yuji Itadori, at least at this point, doesn't necessarily have. So obviously we can cover the most basic example first. Suguru Geto, Kenjaku, Curse Spirit Manipulation. It is literally an army. An army that most armies would not even be able to perceive. Remember that. Curse Spirits are invisible and non-interactable for most regular humans. All humans have cursed energy in this universe, but not all of them can perceive or interact with cursed spirits. It's why Yuji needed to consume Sukuna's finger in the first place, despite his amazing physical prowess. And realize Yuji, at the start of the series, was the strongest natural human pretty much ever, with no cursed energy. So, that's insane. Even if Geto just had his 4,000 cursed spirits that he did at the time of 0, and he just unleashed that at a nation, the nation would fall. Suguru Geto himself doesn't even have to really engage. He can just tell them to destroy everything, and they would. And that's just 4,000 random spirits. Remember what Kenjaku unleashed at the end of Shibuya? Millions. Millions of cursed spirits. Yeah! He just had that in him. He ate millions of balls. Okay, it's not wrong. He ate millions of balls, y'all. Now imagine millions of cursed balls being hurled up at an entire nation. Yeah, of course he's going to clear it. If they can't even interact with them properly, then yeah, he's naturally going to clear that entire foundation. So it makes sense that Suguru Geto, or Big Jaku, or any wielder of Curse Spirit Manipulation, as long as they prep enough, would be worthy of the special grade title. The reason young Suguru Geto wasn't, because he didn't have that many cursed spirits. He didn't eat enough balls yet. He may have had like 10, 15, maybe 20. Who knows how many cursed spirits that boy had. He had a decent chunk, but he was still on the road to actually becoming special grade. That's why in the time skip, after he'd gone on a bunch more missions by himself and gobbled a whole bunch of balls, then he finally became special grade. But speaking of Suguru Geto becoming special grade, who's another special grade we need to cover? Who's another special grade we need to talk about? Ah, that's right. Not Yuji Itadori. Not Yuji him Itadori. Yeah, Yuki Tsukumo. Now, I will readily admit, Yuki's weird. She's weird. Because under most contexts, I wouldn't say she could solo a nation either. Like, it's weird. And in fact, I think a lot of her special grade status comes to the fact that they just didn't know about her, but knew she was extremely powerful. So, technically, if you go by that logic, she shouldn't be a special grade at all. Because it was just a lack of knowledge. It's not like Yuki has a million Garudas. She can just punch real good. You bombard Yuki enough, and yeah, she'll fall. But you know why? Ultimately, I still think I'm fine with her classification as a special grade. So she does this little thing. So you may have heard about it. It's a black hole. Now, I'm not sure about you, but I think a black hole could most certainly solo a nation. Like, legitimately, I can fully believe that if you were to drop a black hole, say, in the middle of any nation ever, you may not just get the nation, but the entire world. Realize that's why a lot of people are fundamentally terrified of traveling black holes. Because they just do that. And by the time you realize they're there, you're already being consumed. We couldn't do anything against a black hole. A nation couldn't do anything black. A planet couldn't do anything against a black hole. That's why, very specifically, Yuki and Tengen together had to work to suppress it. And make sure that ultimately it didn't work. And Kenjaku barely survived by exposing and using the anti-gravity system. So, like, that was very, 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 very clutch. Versus Yuki Tsukumo, who could definitely solo a nation with that level of power. And once again, we don't know what Yuki's maximum was, what her domain was. Maybe that would have allowed easier access to proper special grade capabilities. Because admittedly, once again, I do think regular Yuki's kind of fishy in terms of whether or not she should be a special grade. Just because, once again, she just punch real good. And she swing Garuda around real good. That doesn't seem like special grade material. I'll be completely honest. That doesn't seem like army soloing material. Unlike my goat Ryu. Let me stop hyping Ryu. But, of course, there's the most obvious one for soloing an entire nation. Like, Do I need to convince you that Satoru Gojo can solo a nation? I have a harder time convincing people that Satoru Gojo can't solo some verses before having to convince you that Satoru Gojo can solo a nation. Most nations, no, all nations wouldn't be able to touch him. That's it. He could legit stand there, possibly fall asleep, and an entire army could unload all over his face, all at once. I'm getting worse. As the videos go on and the channel gets fun, I'm getting worse. Why are the jokes getting worse? Gojo probably into that too. But regardless, that man could legit stand there sleeping, have the army attacking him for an entire week, and he'd win by knockout because they just get tired. And that's, of course, if he doesn't just start dropping unlimited hollow purples everywhere and detonating the entire area. How many humans are surviving this? How many nations are surviving it if Gojo just starts pointing a red, a blue, clapping together, red, blue, clapping together, red, blue? He could do it right in front of his face, survive it, heal it off while his infinity's still up, and not have to worry about nothing. Of course he's soloing a nation. Come on now, it's light! But then you may be wondering, alright, fine, Pencil Man. Fine. Satoru Gojo, soloing a nation. Makes sense, they can't touch him. Surugetsu / Kenjaku, soloing a nation. Fine, they have literally thousands, if not millions, of cursed spirits. Bada bing, bada boom. People can't interact with cursed spirits and touch them. Fine. Yuki Tsukumo, she could literally destroy the entire planet by just taking the limits off her gravity technique. Fine. But how is Yuta Kotsu a special grade? He doesn't have cursed spirit manipulation. He doesn't have infinity 24/7. He can't just make a black hole. How does he qualify for special grade? It's not really him. It's Rika. It's Rika. Because here's the thing, right? Yuta can run out of energy. Yuta only has 5 minutes with Rika. Yuta's domain ain't that big. But Yuta Kotsu could literally sit back in an entirely different area and say, hey, Rika, go solo that nation. And Rika, with her boundless cursed energy, even in her unmanifested state, would actively solo the nation because they wouldn't be able to perceive her and she'd do crazy amounts of damage. She single-handedly wiped out Kenjaku's entire army before it could do anything. Single-handedly. Sure, is the conflict definitely pretty much downplayed and all the cursed spirits ran in one direction? Yeah, because they're stupid. But once again, Gege sort of had a narrative they had to progress. This entire army that could solo a nation, Rika is 1v1ing unmanifested. Or 1v-armying one unmanifested. Yuta himself wouldn't have to step foot on the battlefield. Rika could do it by herself. And once again, most people, most nations wouldn't be able to tell what's happening because they couldn't even perceive her. Heavens forbid she's fully manifested and just starts launching beams everywhere. That'll last for 5 minutes. And then she's just back to regularly soloing people. So yeah, Yuta meets the criteria. Yuki meets the criteria. Gojo definitely meets the criteria. Kenjaku and Geto meet the criteria. But Yuji? I don't think so. Because let's remember what Yuji's whole deal is. His whole kit is. All he is a punch, kick, and cut merchant. I know I'm downplaying Yuji massively here, but I'm just trying to get a point across. In terms of special grade, I just don't see Yuji doing it. He does not have the scale of attack and or the massive invisibility scale of attack required to actively solo a nation. In fact, before we even get into Yuji, let's talk about Yuji's original. Yuji's big daddy, Yuji's big unk, Sukuna, and why I think he fits special grade criteria quite easily. There's this little thing, I forget what they call it. It's called, what is it? I think it's a concept that Yuji Itadori himself unlocked towards the end of 264. It's something big. It's very notable to the series of Jujutsu Kaisen. It's actually based on like the reality marble concept from the Feats series. It's a really neat idea where a character is able to manifest like this realm that fundamentally fits everything that they stand for and has unique and special properties. But there are actually like two characters in the series that have a really unique variation of this apex of what they call Jujutsu. And it's like open, like it's open space, which allows it to cover a lot more distance. For this guy, I forget what his name is. I think like the Realman Sukuna or something, sucking on something like I think. But he has this. It's called a domain expansion. Yeah, a domain expansion of 200 meters. Yeah, 200 meters. Mm-hmm. That he could cast infinitely, by the way, while only on half cursed energy. Yeah, he can do that, and it literally rends everything out of existence. reduces everything down flat into dust in moments. Yeah. That's how Sukuna's special grade. Because he can legit just consistently pop DE. Or legit just yell, "Twin meteors recoil, scale of the dragon," and just wipe out entire swaths of an army. All at once. And if he's really feeling fancy, domain. And then after he's prepped the whole area, Fuga and just destroy everything. He can just do that. Ad infinitum. The man has basically limited curse energy. He might as well. If he can legit, what the chapter says, cast domain expansions infinitely, even while only at Yuta coach levels of curse energy, as long as he waits for the cooldown, which he probably wouldn't even have to wait for, the army would just have no clue what's happening because they couldn't see anything that Sukuna is doing because the slashes are invisible for sorcerers, not to talk of regular people. He would literally mincemeat an entire army instantaneously. But you may be wondering, okay, Pencil Man, so sure, Sukuna can do that, but Yuji has the same thing. He has Shrine. Why can't he do the same? Because his Shrine is kind of... It's not bad. It's still good. His cleave is nice, and it's juicy enough. It's a little tender. It's a soft little 3-piece. But Sukuna is a whole 10-piece meal, if you know what I'm talking about. Because, notably, the scale of Yuji's cleaves are nice. They're good. They're kind of clean. Like, they can destroy a chunk of an area pretty quickly, and he's touching and touching and touching and touching and touching. But, he has no range. Like, at all. Like, none. Not a single range attack. Remember, he can't even properly do piercing blood, which wouldn't be enough to solo a nation. His supernova was him forcing blood to burst. Oh, yay. So what's he usually going to do? Bleed over the entire army and then boom, 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 one by one? Doesn't seem very... What is he going to do after the first wave of 1,000 people? Fight the next wave? And then the next wave, and the next wave. Even if he stands there and cleaves forever, I don't think he's going to get it. Because the scale of his attacks are too small. And his unique peak pinnacle attacks that are super, super crazy and top of the line, like his domain expansion and his, what should be his range attack, his dismantles. And of course, they're limited by a binding vow right now. And this, who knows, this may change after a couple chapters. But at the moment, they're all useless against regular people. What is a soul dismantle going to do against a regular person? What is Yuji domain expansion going to do against regular people? Other than send them in the curse technique burnout and allow them to get jumped. Could you argue stats and stamina-wise, maybe he could run through a nation? Maybe? Like, once again, I'm not sure how long this Yuka Showdown's been, but his endurance is crazy. But I'm not actually sure about Yuji's stamina. Because, once again, kind of going back to the Soul in Reverse concept, if you were to just drop Yuji in front of a whole army, he would then have to punch, kick, cut down how many people? While avoiding a wave of... And who knows what else they could do to him in that time period while they're preparing. Whole shells of tanks. Like, there's so much Yuji would have to deal with that he doesn't have the free range and ease of access that other special grades do. Once again, like I said, Yuta does not have to step on the battlefield. He can legit just send Rika to do everything. And then maybe deal with the 1 or 2 people who actually managed to reach him, which would actually be 0 people. Of course, Satoru Gojo never really has to worry about taking damage in the first place because of the Endless Infinity, running out of energy because of how efficient he is with the 6 size, and he has massive enough large-scale attacks that would do crazy amounts of damage before anyone could actually hope to reach him, even if he got a little bit EP. And even if he got EP enough, he'd still have Infinity up and be untouchable. Yuki Tsukumo can destroy the entire planet. That's it. She can destroy the entire planet. Like don't make me argue that. But still, even Ryomen Sukuna has the key with those large-scale attacks, those large amounts of destruction, the dismantle nets, the whole domain expansion of itself. So much every other character who could qualify for special grade or is special grade has something. The reason why I say Ryu Ishigori is even special grade is because of that massive granite blast that he has that nearly wiped out a whole city block. If he fired that enough times, who knows? Once again, I'll have to go further into that and think if he actually could qualify for special grade. I may make this a little mini-series. But I want to talk about this Yuji because I've seen so many people say he's special grade, but in my opinion, he's just not. Because I don't see him soloing a nation with his current kit. It's too specialized, it's too specific, and it's too small scale. In order to solo nation, you either need infinite stamina and good stats. Yuji has the good stats, but I don't think he has infinite stamina. Or you need large-scale attacks of crazy variety. Every other special grade has that. Plus Suker. Hard line confirmed. They all are special grade for that reason. Yuji, he's just not there yet. Of course, if he ever unlocks a ranged dismantle and the dismantle actually be, well, it has to be big. It Had to be real big. But if it ends up being like of a real large quantifiable scale, then yeah, of course, Yuji's a special grade. But right now, he ain't got that. His domain, we only know the scale of it, but we're pretty sure it ain't open. And I'm not even sure if it has the same effects in Malevolent Trend. Yuji Itadori, while undeniably powerful, undeniably Himothy, undeniably a tier above where he was before, he still isn't exactly special grade. He's very powerful. He's undeniably top 10 at this point. And he's a monster, a beast, and a demon who wreaks havoc throughout the majority of the verse. But, special grade, not yet. Don't worry. He beats special grades. Horribly. He dogs on some of them. But, to say he's there himself, sorry. The criteria is just a little bit too specific. However, that's what I think. Please what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you think I'm crazy in spite of everything I said and how I explained how all the other special grades are special grade, that Yuji still somehow meets the criteria and you think he can solo a nation? Do you think there's other special grade criteria for sorcerers specifically that was mentioned that I flat out missed and thusly qualifies Yuji for special grade somehow through stats? Do you think that ultimately your boy may be right, and that Yuji Itadori isn't special grade just yet, but he has the potential to be special grade in the future by unlocking larger scale attacks and even more raw power? Please let me know all that and more in the comment section down below. I'd like to thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do happen to have a Patreon down below, or you can support me for as low as $1 a month, and things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You'll also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. So those perks include the live reaction to the very next chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen, and free variations of all my videos, and if you become a $25 patron or a $25 member, you can order whatever video you want. Also, I do have a link to my Ko-Fi description down below, where you can drop 5 beans for a short video, or 25 beans for a long video, or any beans at all. Any support is always greatly appreciated. Now, if you made it all the way to the end, and I know some people thought there ain't gonna be no password, but you know I gotta be slick with it sometimes. If you made it all the way to the end, leave. Leave short bus. No, don't leave short. Leave short bus. Because I don't think anyone's going to make it this far. Leave short bus in the comment section down below. I like to thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to thank you to our $3 members: Zena, Greyhound, Astro, Eternal Flame, NMA, Real Rare, G Prosper, Red Wolf 4765, and Paris Arnold. I'd like to leave another big ol' thank you to our $5 patrons: Sean, Sammy, Midnight Lord 21, Kevin Encarnacion, Josh Brown, and A+A. And I'd like to give a great big thank you to our $7 members: Autumn Mornings Lazo, Fine, and That Guy. And I'd like to give a great big thank you to our $10 members: Robbie Uchiha, J Warrior, and Akid's Void. And I'd like to give big, hefty, juicy thank yous to our $10 patrons: Panda Goat, Michael Williamson, Metal Solid Crisis, Joaquin Munoz, and Idem Okami. And I'd like to give the biggest, juiciest, meatiest, sloppiest, and heftiest thank you of them all to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.